We are all about creating habits because habits lift us up. Habits just happen. Like I drink my coffee in the morning. I could be camping. I'm going to make that happen. It's not going to be hard. I'm going to source the solution because it's a habit. If it were a hard thing and I were challenged with a shift in my environment, I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm not making coffee because I'm not at home. But do you see where it's a habit? So I make it happen. Same thing with parents. We want to connect, but if it's not a habit, it's not happening. And so I found with my busy life, it was finding those little moments to connect were the opportunities. And then not just saying, okay, connect, but making it a habit so that even if I'm forgetting and I'm busy, my child is like, Mommy, let's do our happy, sad surprise because it's bedtime. And we always do that.
Hello and welcome to the Sunshine Parenting Podcast, where each week we talk about ideas for raising kids who become thriving adults. I'm your host, Audrey Monkey. I'm a summer camp director, writer, and speaker, and I've had the privilege of working with thousands of children, teenagers, young adult counselors, and parents over the past 3 decades. My husband, Steve, and I are raising 5 kids who currently range in age from 15 to 25. So my interest in raising kind, optimistic, self-reliant kids who become thriving adults is personal as well as professional.
Hi, Sunshine Parenting listeners. I am really thrilled to be bringing you this week's episode, which is my conversation with Suzanne Tucker, who is the founder of Generation Mindful. I first learned about Generation Mindful a few years ago when my coworker Allison told me about their Time In Toolkit. So basically, it's very similar to my idea of what I call a chill spot. It's something we talk about at camp that instead of getting away and having a moment alone be a negative thing, like when we say that you're on a timeout, having something where it's accepted and normal and actually a great idea to just have a little bit of time to chill out on your own, regroup. And I've talked about this a lot in terms of even as parents, taking our own chill time and having a little place that we can go when we need a break from kind of the stressors that are making us do and say things that we don't want to be doing and saying. And this Time In Toolkit that Generation Mindful and Suzanne's team has developed is basically just a toolkit that gives you everything you need to kind of create what she calls a calming corner in your home or classroom or wherever it is that you are working with or parenting kids. So I love her whole philosophy. The whole website of Generation Mindful is dedicated to just helping us learn how to connect and play and help our kids learn how to regulate their emotions and just how we can teach them that skill. About a month ago, Suzanne and her team reached out to me about my post about calm down skills for kids. They wanted to share it. And as soon as she reached out, I was so excited to be connected with her because I have been following her emails. I subscribe and just love the work that she's doing at Generation Mindful. So I was thrilled to connect with her and have a chance to chat with her in this episode. So I hope you enjoy our conversation as well. I feel like I've found a kindred spirit over there in St. Louis, and I'm really excited to be connected with Suzanne and to learn more about Generation Mindful. I'll put links in the show notes, but if you're just really anxious to get there quickly, the website is genmindful.com. So it's GEN mindful.com. Well, I am so excited today to have Suzanne Tucker of Generation Mindful on the podcast. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So I would love for you to just tell my listeners a little bit about your background. I know you have a lot of letters after your name. How did you get started with Generation Mindful?
Sure. Well, I've got the MOM behind my name. I'm a mom of 4. That's my highest credential. I have a 19-year-old, 16-year-old, and twin 9-year-olds, 3 girls and a boy. And my background is that I've been a physical therapist and a parent educator for going on 3 decades now, 27 years. And, you know, my husband and I opened a holistic outpatient rehab center. We're both physical therapists because we care about whole health and healing and wellness. And the physical body was just our approach to the whole body. And I soon realized that there was much more going on, much more to meet the eye than the physical body as I was working with clients. And as I started my, what I call spiritual journey of motherhood 20 years ago, jumping in, first time mom, it was hard. I always say parenting makes life apparent. And if you're looking to get on the super highway of spiritual growth, just jump on in because you're going to find it in parenthood. And really, it was that love of whole health and learning about ourselves and being on a spiritual journey myself that brought me into doing education, empowerment-based education with families. So I did that locally here in St. Louis, Missouri, where we live for decades. And really just 3 years ago, based on an aha moment I had in one of my classes where I said, you know what, we got to make it easy, we got to make it fun, and we got to get this evidence-based brain science into everyday life because people feel not enough. And it's done, right? We're awesome. We are rock stars. And that was really my jump into starting Generation Mindful, was to remind everyone, it's not about being perfect. It's not about being fueled by shame or guilt. It's about being enough, connecting in the little moments, and you already are. And that was the jumping point. And I can tell you more about it, but that's how I got here.
That's amazing. So now, do you and your husband still have the physical therapy practice?
We do. It is our fifth child. It is our fifth baby. And he is full-time there. And I shifted full-time into Generation Mindful 3.5 years ago. And we love it because one is bricks and mortar service. You are right there, eye to eye, touching, connecting. And the other is taking everything we learn in those moments and leveraging it into an international platform where we can touch, move, and inspire and enroll into community, people from all around the world. So we're Generation Mindfuls now in 70 countries in just 3 years.
That's amazing.
So it's just meeting a need that literally, I was sitting on the floor doing I teach baby massage. I was sitting on the floor with about 15 mamas and their babies. And my heart just wanted to explode. And I just thought, we've got to reach, this is amazing, right? This is it right here. And everybody gets to have this, not just who I can sit down with 15 people on the floor. How do we take this love and this experience of connection and enoughness? It's so simple, really. I know you know this in your work with the camps and the children. It's right there, right? It's right there to meet us when we show up. So that was really the spark.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that story and how it's so interesting. I've heard a lot about how, you have like a big calling, but you have different vehicles that you use for your calling. It seems like your calling is very clear. It's about, helping and healing people and teaching everyone that you're enough and that connection piece. And you've done it through all these different ways, through being a mom and your physical therapy and now Generation Mindful. It's just an awesome story, Suzanne. How fun to hear. So it's interesting because you actually reached out to me, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, or someone from Generation Mindful about a post of mine about calming down. And when I think it was you or whoever was that works at Generation Mindful reached out, I was like, oh my gosh, I get your emails. I have been following you for a couple of years because one of the camp directors I work with who has younger children, so my kids are now 16 to 25, but her kids are 4 and 6 or almost 7. And we do a lot of work at camp. We teach our counselors similar to you call it like a calm down corner.
Yeah. Our thing is just shifting from timeouts to time ins. And it's calming corner.
The time in. And so I've done a lot of work on this and kind of have we call it a chill spot, or we kind of encourage our counselors to have a place that's a positive place to regroup. And then I've been teaching parents to do the same thing at home, have a really comfy chair with like a basket with like coloring. And so it's so interesting because it's just like different names, but it's the same idea. Instead of punishing someone for being like dysregulated and needing to calm down, making it a thing that, hey, we all have these moments. Let's find a way to just create a space where we can, just feel good. And I think about for adults, we need this too, the candle that smells good and the book that we really like that calms us down and a cup of tea. And so anyway, she told me, Allison, this camp director, she's like, oh, do you know this Generation Mindful? They have this time in kit. And I think she has it. And so it's so funny. I've known about you for a couple of years, and I'm just so excited to sort of delve further into it. So tell me, in terms of, you have the blog, and then you have, like, when you say you're in 70 countries, what does that look like? Does that mean people are buying the time in kits? Are they getting your emails? Like, what does that mean?
Yes. So in terms of people that have Generation Mindful's play-based, evidence-based tools and toys for nurturing emotional intelligence, those little guys, and I can tell you more about the different ways we're doing it, they are in 70 countries, and our community are in nearly 100. So we are growing tools, toys, and community. So it's not just about the education and the support, because we need both of those. What I found in my work is that children are concrete learners. So are adults. We are very much supported when we open a box. It's concrete. And not only does it work for making positive discipline practical in our everyday lives, because we can say, go do this, get a corner, but people are stressed and overwhelmed. And when we give them advice or tips, what I found in my work as a therapist is that people go in their head, oh, that's a really good idea. And then they don't do it. So we've now unknowingly fueled their inner shame. And most parents feel not enough. So I realized it's beyond, if all we needed to know was to exercise, drink water, and get a square 8 hours of sleep, we'd all be happy and, millionaires and then just happy relationships. But it's really about embodying wisdom, isn't it? So Generation Mindful's tools and toys are in 70 countries, and it's about creating this community that inspires you and is there to hold your hand online, right? We've got all these online supports. We've got the blog. We have a private community for anyone who goes through our 6-week self-paced course, because I really believe in that community. But then we have just simply the emails that you're getting. You may never buy a product ever, and you're going to hopefully be inspired on your journey.
So wait, this sounds so fun. The 6-week course, is that for all, like, educators, parents? Is it for people working with all age kids, or who is it for?
It is all ages. Birth, tots to teens is what I usually say. But we get a lot of parents wanting to start this journey, and they're literally on maternity leave. And it is never too early for our course, because our course really does start from the inside out. And we're about supporting and inspiring you into what we think of as a mind shift, right? Into self-awareness first, and connect before you correct, and really just seeing misbehavior as an unmet need without the guilt, and training ourselves out of shame as a motivator and guilt as a filter takes something. And, we are all about creating habits, because habits lift us up. Habits just happen. Like, I drink my coffee in the morning. I could be camping. I'm going to make that happen. It's not going to be hard. I'm going to source the solution because it's a habit. If it were a hard thing and I were challenged with a shift in my environment, I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm not making coffee because I'm not at home. But do you see where it's a habit? So I make it happen. Same thing with parents. We want to connect. But if it's not a habit, it's not happening. And so I found with my busy life, it was finding those little moments to connect were the opportunities. And then not just saying, okay, connect, but making it a habit. So that even if I'm forgetting and I'm busy, my child is like, Mommy, let's do our happy, sad surprise because it's bedtime. And we always do that. And they get out their Snuggle Buddy plush that has all the emoji feelings inside. And my little 2- and 3-year-old is taking me into the present moment. They're making it fun and easy for me as a mom to show up and teach them about their feelings, because we have these little training wheels on called Snuggle Buddies or, Peacemaker, mindfulness cards, whatever it is. That is the goal, is to take that learning right into your everyday life.
Oh my gosh, this Snuggle Buddy sounds amazing. I think I need it at camp. I think I'm going to need all of your things in my little box of tools.
Yeah, how young are your kiddos? Are they 5s and 6s or 9?
We actually start at our very youngest are 6 and 7.
Yeah, they would be great because so homesick and feeling that missing and that sadness, all the big feelings that go along with camp are fabulous, right? They're part of life, and it's such an important time of life. And to be able to support that by putting words to it, and what we think of as just integrating. It's really a lot of Dan Siegel's work. You'll hear a lot of his words in my work because it's really about that brain science of honoring emotions as sacred and integrating.
Name it to tame it. We all talk about that.
You got it. Yes, Memo Buddies, school nurses are really loving them. I've got one here. I know your listeners can't see it, but they're soft and they are based on 7 different themes, and they're sweet and rolling with their sweet little eyes, big eyes. And in the back, everyone has a pocket, and they have 4 plush emojis that represent when did I feel happy? When did I feel sad? When did I feel calm? When did I feel mad? And we're singing this song and we're telling our stories. And just by labeling the things that happened in this day and which mood group would I associate them with, we don't know it, but we're literally putting the middle brain like it's doing push-ups. That hippocampus, that really, really important part of the brain that helps with emotional regulation. It's like drop down and give me 10. It's going down and it's doing the push-ups, and it's training that part of the brain that wants to react. It's actually laying the neural synapses so it can learn to respond. So for the parent out there who's feeling super frustrated and maybe scared, like, I don't know what is wrong with my child. They go from 0 to 100 and I'm worried about them. I, as a therapist, want to just give you a big hug and tell you nothing's broken. And then once we get over our fear, we're empowered to show up powerfully with what is, right? And then we can source the tools and support to just be where we are and meet the child where they are with tools, right? So there's none of that judgment. And I'm sure at camp, you see all the flavors and all the stages and all the, you don't always know what a child brings with them to camp, do you? You don't know, but what you do see is what's right there in front of you. So you can be empowered to meet them right where they are.
Hi, Sunshine Parenting listeners. If you're listening to this episode 113, the week that it airs, this is also the week that my book, Happy Campers, is celebrating its 6-month birthday. If you're one of the over 4,000 people who have already picked up a copy of Happy Campers, thank you so much for your support, and especially for the feedback you've been giving via email and by writing reviews on Goodreads and Amazon. I really appreciate your support, and I'm so grateful for each and every comment about how the book has helped you. Just this week, I got a new review on Amazon from David, and he says, I bought this book after being blown away by my son's transformative experience at camp. I was really impressed with the structure and thought that underpins the delivery of such a profound summer experience. The book is an easy page turner and helps bring some ideas into family life that keep the summer magic going. Super read, and I'm not usually a big parent lit reader. Thank you so much, David, for this review, and for everyone else who's written a review on Amazon of Happy Campers. I really, really appreciate your support of my book. If you're interested in learning more about Happy Campers, visit happycampersbook.com for more information about the secrets I share in the book, as well as a link to my online book club that I'm doing throughout this school year, as well as links to retailers where you can purchase your copy. I keep seeing that image all the time of the iceberg where, you see the kid's behavior is just like the top of the iceberg. And then all those things going on underneath, it's like the behavior is just kind of a clue. And I know Daniel Siegel and Tina Bryson are always talking about just, it's like, be curious. They're not on purpose trying to ruin your day or be terrible. They're communicating something that they're having difficulty really articulating. I love your thing. And actually, it's so funny because at camp, one of the things that we can do is with older kids and with the staff, use things that you might think are more for younger kids, but at camp, because we sing and we do all this stuff, it's really okay to use tools like that. When you were singing that song, I'm like, oh my gosh, we could do that at our leadership staff in the morning. We could sing the song.
Oh, your teen counselors would love it, because you know what? These tools, when they go out in the world, what I hear back more than anything, I think these are for me. And I'm hearing that from the 30-year-olds, right? I think I sneak off and I use my time in corner. I am using my time in toolkit. And they're like, I think I'm getting as much, if not more, out of this than my child. And teens love the excuse of being able to pull the peacemaker cards, which are just basically little affirming love notes from the universe. Like, you are enough. Your mistakes help you learn and grow. Who does not want to be reminded that you are powerful? You are a leader. These are basic universal truths that we took and put into a deck of mantra cards to stimulate conversations. Because where is the source of emotional intelligence? It's in relationship. It's in pausing to look in each other's eyes, to listen, to share. It is so, so simple. And yet, how hard is it in everyday modern life to carve out a sweet little 5 minutes to talk about the things that matter? It's not happening. We're running to soccer and we're making dinner. But when it's easy and it's literally done for you, you could even be driving the car, right? And your child gets in after school and your ritual is pull a card. Let's talk about your day in a meaningful way that's not, oh, it was fine.
Oh my gosh, this is so fun. I'd love to sit at your dinner table. What is your family's with the ages of your kids now? Do you have some kind of routine or tradition at dinner?
Oh, you're so sweet. I was raised one of 7 and we were at the table. Mom made a meal. Dad got home, a lawyer, by 6:30 sharp, never missed a meal. I mean, that, and the 9 of us would sit down and pretty much polish up a gallon of milk. That's what happened every night. And so I come out of that formative, and there's a lot of research around the importance of mealtime. But for me, it was an anchor. And I remember thinking, oh, I never see my dad. Like, I only see him, at dinner. And I thought I never saw him. Then I realized what is true for a lot of families. It's really not seeing dad, right? And so that anchor of dinner has been important for my husband and I in raising our 4 kids. And we have such a range in ages. We literally, our eldest one went off to college this year. We flew her to the state of Washington. But up until then, to see the 4 of them around the table and the varying ages, and to think, wow, these younger 2, the 9-year-olds, are learning by osmosis because they're around. We're talking about looking at colleges and things. I mean, they're just benefiting by just sitting at the table, being a part of the conversation. So much of the learning and the quote, teaching we're doing is not overt. It is just by being in relationship. And I think it's actually the good news for the harried parent out there, which is, I'm pointing to myself right now. We think we've got to jump through all the hoops and do all the classes and go to the zoo and, connect by doing the crafts where you got to go to Michael's and get 18 things. And really, truly, it's just showing up in the little tiny moments when you're doing the laundry, when you're setting the table, and really taking that pressure off ourselves. I think when we do that, all of a sudden dinner time shows up and it's like this whole opportunity, not from a should place. Dinner could be in the car on the way to soccer. It's much more about our focus and our attention than even the total number of minutes that we're doing these things that we're doing. So I hope that helps. But I would love to have you at my dinner table. I think you'd laugh more than anything. You'd laugh. And I want to say one other thing. I apologize to my children probably every day. I'm doing something, I'm saying something, and I'm looking back at myself and going, did you just do that? And so for me, it's really not about doing it right. I am super aware of my humanity and my not enough imperfectly perfect ways. And so for me, it's about modeling to my child, oh yeah, I just said that. And I noticed it and I'm owning it. And maybe I'm apologizing, or maybe I'm doing a do-over and saying it. Or maybe I'm not even catching it till the next day. But I just want to give that lens about what dinner might be like at her house.
Oh, that's so great. Well, I feel so encouraged just talking to you. And that's really what my message is always to parents too. It's fine, you're enough. Maybe, just little things that you do can really move the needle, whether it's just, staring at your kid and listening to them for 2 minutes, telling their story about something that's important to them. And it's just so great to be connected with you and hear about all these fun tools. And of course, I'm going to go shopping after our talk.
Awesome. I can't wait to get into your camp. And, we got to probably do a pilot program or something. We're all about collaborating. Right now, we're doing a ton of research. So wouldn't it be fabulous.
Okay. Well, yes. Well, first of all, for sure, you should be at schools. And I'm thinking of all these people I can connect you with, school psychologists. And then in the camp world too, we're finding ourselves needing to be just really intentional about having tools for our kids because they're coming to us just with a lot of, emotional baggage. And it just seems like it's like life seems more complicated for them. And so camp is sometimes an opportunity to just learn just some new regulation skills, learn how to calm themselves down. And I love your message just that, we don't have to be perfect and we're doing fine just as we are. And we can model for our kids. Like I like just my own, little chill spot or time in spot just to show my kids and even just say out loud, you know what, I'm just feeling so frustrated right now. I need a few minutes. I'm going to go read my book for a minute. I'll be back, just being really real with them. Because I always tell people, we're not going to raise thriving future adults if we don't show them what that looks like. And so as adults, that means we can't just harried and crazy and trying to do too much all the time. We've got to give ourselves that break and just be like, okay, yeah, fine. This is my personality. This is how I do it. The kids are going to be fine. So I love your message. And I will definitely in the show notes put links to the thing that you showed me, the little, what's it called? The stuffed animal?
The Snuggle Buddies. They come with all sorts of fun little things. They actually come with a month-long My Feeling calendar all on one page so that in the classroom, we can do a morning, midday, evening check-in. So even at camp, it could be, I wake up in the morning. What's the first thing you notice? How are you feeling? One of the little practices I'd love to tell your listeners that I've started doing, I just spent a week with Dan Siegel actually in California at a retreat. And one of the takeaways I took from one of the other speakers was this simple practice greeting myself when I wake up in the morning. I say, "Good morning, Suzanne." And then I say, "I love you." And it's been profound for me. It's only been a couple weeks, but what it is, it's so sweet. It's so simple. And it's so profound. And those are my 3 favorite things all combined.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, that sounds like such a fun conference. I would love to go to that.
It was.
I love their work. Well, I am so excited to be connected with you, Suzanne. I'm going to put tons of links in the show notes to your website and all the things that we talked about. And hopefully we can connect again and figure out even more ways to collaborate in the future because I'm just so happy to be connected with you and your work. And you're just doing amazing things to help families.
Well, thank you so much for your listening and for your writings and for the inspiration you are with this podcast and your book. I'm just thrilled to be connected with you.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Suzanne as much as I enjoyed it. As always, you can find notes and links from our conversation at my website at sunshine-parenting.com. Search for episode 113. If you enjoy the podcast, I'd really appreciate you sharing an episode with a friend and or taking a moment to write a rating or review of the Sunshine Parenting Podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like more resources and ideas about raising thriving kids, I invite you to subscribe to my weekly email, where each week I send out a link to my latest podcast episode, any new blog posts, as well as information about what I've been reading and listening to, and any upcoming events that I'm going to be part of. To subscribe, simply text the word HAPPY to 345-345. Each week, I send out an email with a link to my latest podcast episode, blog posts, and any other resources, articles, podcast episodes, or books that I've found helpful in raising thriving kids. If you'd like to subscribe, simply text the word HAPPY to 345-345.
This podcast is a proud member of Parents on Demand, a network of high-quality shows for families just like yours. Download our free network app on Apple and Android and listen to your favorite episodes on the go.